You were listening to episode 155 of Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John, and I'm joined by Ryan.
Hey everybody, here at the Game Deflators Podcast, we like to talk about games we've recently picked up, games we're currently playing, and we read a book so scary our ancestors went crazy in this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge.
I mean, it only took, 4 tries to get that right?
And centers.
Ant centers. I think
Everybody.
I heard ant centers, ant centers. Yeah, it sounds like you've been watching
Honor
Handmaid's
your
Tale,
ant
too.
centers.
Honor your ant centers. Well, Ryan is discussing, or really just kind of calling out Eternal Darkness on the GameCube this week.
Sanity's Requiem.
It was actually pretty cool. So we'll talk about that in wrong game, wrong franchise. Really not a franchise, and we'll get into that a little later too. This week we got some good stuff. First thing being, of course, our pickups and all that, jazz and what we're currently playing. But we'll be talking about Sony creating the PlayStation PC tagline for their brand. Warner Bros. Fighting game that got leaked. Apple pretty much, which we'll get into more detail on this, but Apple saying that it competes with PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo. And also, the next Nintendo Switch online console has potentially been leaked. So, all of that to come pretty soon here. But first, our current pickups. Ryan, you can go first.
Okay, so I didn't pick up anything this week, but upon recording this, it is still the end of October, and we're at the end of 2021, people. I am checking Twitter every day, every other day, all the time, waiting for a Playdate update drop. Like, I got in the first 20,000. I'm going to get it before the end of the year, and the end of the year is almost here according to the fact that I'm singing Christmas songs in my head all day at work, and we don't even have Christmas music playing.
Mariah Carey is defrosting as we speak.
So I've been all-consuming thinking about that, so I haven't bought anything. Innistrad comes out in like a couple weeks, so I'm kind of getting geared up for that a little bit. Let's talk about the one obvious thing I didn't buy this week, and we'll talk some more about some of this a little later on. Did not get the Nintendo Expansion Pass. Decided I'm not gonna get the Nintendo Expansion Pass. I loved Animal Crossing for what I got from it, but I don't see myself really going hard back at it anytime soon. I can always get that later on down the road if I want, but there's just nothing that's drawing me to want to get that, at least not right now. So with all the issues and stuff that have kind of come out this week in the discourse about it, like the emulation is pretty poor, there's some slowdown, they did some really awkward changes for things. Like if you've seen the screenshots of the water reflected in like the way late part in Ocarina of Time where you fight like Shadow Link or whatever on that pool, it's like the reflectivity's all gone. It's just some whack texture pack now, and they took away like the fog that they built into a lot of N64 games to keep like everything going good, so that it didn't have to have that crazy render. So now things just look odd and out of place. It's so weird that Nintendo's been crushing hard on all these emulation sites and ROM sites and stuff over the last few years, and they just can't get it right themselves. Like, as much as people are, there for the N64 games mostly, and them to just not be quality. Like, I've never heard of anybody saying there's anything wrong with the quality on the NES and the SNES stuff. And I don't think anybody's saying there's anything wrong with the quality on the Sega stuff that's on there either.
N64 I've always heard is very hard to emulate, though.
Dude, I don't know. You can run that shit on your phone. I mean, it doesn't run perfectly, I guess, on my phone either, and I don't expect it to because I'm running it on a phone. So I guess that makes up for it, I guess. But the fact that the quality just isn't really there either, on top of the fact that it's just too much money for not a great enough service bundle.
Yeah, I mean, I really have heard in the past that N64 is pretty difficult to create emulation for. I don't know the exact reason why, but it's just something I've heard. I know, in fact, I've actually seen Banjo-Kazooie emulation where everything, like all the honeycombs have like black holes in them. Like It's really weird. So yeah, maybe that's part of it. It's just a difficulty tied to that, but it just seems odd given that it's Nintendo games, you know? and Nintendo can't even get it right.
Well, or, like do anything to step it up. I was watching somebody talk about this. It might have been Spawnwave. And he was saying, like, they should have added more stuff to this. Like, give us some, like, little challenges or something. Like, remember when we played the NES Remix?
Yeah.
How cool that was?
Yeah, it was fun.
It had so much, like, extra little stuff in it. Like, why can't you just, like, make some base achievements or something? Do something. Like, the fact that you did... The only thing that you did was make it worse.
Yeah.
Not helpful. And then the button layouts are all wonky from what I have heard because there's not like a great translation for like the C stick and everything.
Well, I mean, the Brawler controller got it right, you know? So, it's just Nintendo being Nintendo, I think. And Nintendo fanboys will tell you otherwise. I mean, I love Nintendo, but, at the same time, fans kind of have to, hold that company accountable and call them out when necessary. And there's fanboys that will refuse to do that, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But, hopefully it gets better. Hopefully they correct the issues that they're having and we can get some good quality, given that's, more money, at the end of the day. What else? Anything else on pickups?
Nothing
else. So my pickups this week, I have ordered... So it's come in at some point here in the near future. Innistrad Midnight Hunt set booster. I had not gotten one yet, so I am looking forward to cracking open some packs. It should be here by next week, so pending what we're doing, maybe I'll go to your place or something. We can crack them open. But I'm stoked about that. And then my repro copy of Terra Enigma actually came in, as you saw.
It looks quite nice.
Yeah, it actually does. Like it feels like it was made in the U.S. If that's the right way to say that, because I have picked up some stuff like knockoffs from over in China, and the quality of those are just not as good. Whoever made this one, I got to look it up, and maybe I'll add it to one of our Facebook posts or something. But this particular one, very good quality. It looks like he took the shell of an actual like Super Nintendo game, like a donor cart essentially, like and did that, because I've seen some of the like offshoot ones, like third party donor, like not donor carts, but third-party gray carts, and the plastic just doesn't feel the same. This feels like it straight up was a Nintendo cart initially. So yeah, I think it looks good. I'm actually excited to play that one. I'm like so all over the place on what I want to do for my new games resolution next year.
Me too.
Like Terra Enigma has crossed my mind as a possible game.
No better time than now.
Huh?
No better time than now. You
Right?
just got it.
Yeah, it's true. Ocarina of Time and Majora's Mask are also on my mind to be able to do those.
You've never played those?
I never beat them.
Okay, yeah.
So I played them when I was younger and just never got through them. So
What would you play them on?
N64.
You wouldn't do... Do you have that like bonus disc that came with Wind Waker?
Mm-hmm. I do. Yeah, I've got, other than the Metroid Prime Zelda combo, I've got all of the Zelda versions on
Metroid
GameCube.
Prime Zelda combo?
Yeah, so there's on GameCube, it's actually like one of the most expensive combos they have. It is pretty much like Metroid Prime, and then there's like a little crack on the side of it, like an image, and then it's Zelda as well. Like I think it's Zelda, Wind Waker, and Metroid Prime, if I'm correct, the combo pack. But yeah, that one's stupid expensive now.
That's like I got the... I waited forever to get Oblivion, even though I really wanted it, because I was going to get like the Game of the Year edition that came with BioShock.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like the Game of the Year edition or something. It didn't have like the extra stuff that I was waiting for. And I was like,
Yeah, so, dude, I'm not sure, but I know that if I do Zelda, it'll be both of those games in the same year. I'll be looking to tag.
Mm-hmm.
So I think hour-wise are probably, 25, 30 hours a piece?
Yeah.
So it's about the extent of like one good JRPG, which is kind of what I was looking at playing anyways.
They're impossible.
Yeah. I'll dive into my currently playing and then go into yours. So I'm, of course, still playing God of War. Dude, it's getting
John
so
is farther
much
than I am now.
Yeah, officially got further than you are. For those of you that have played it, I am officially at the point where, I'm now just past the point where Atreus becomes a little asshole. So spoiler alerts for anybody listening that has not played the game yet, although it's, I think came out, 2016, 2017, so shouldn't be a spoiler. But pretty much like at some point they're battling the Sons of Thor. One of them comes into a specific room. I think it's a Chamber of Tyr, and you go ahead and fight him off. And Atreus, being starts unleashing Spartan rage, and then he gets knocked out, and you go on his whole journey through, I think, Helheim, to try and find a heart of, it's like a golem or some sort of guardian who oversees souls going into Helheim. And you bring Atreus back, and then inform him that he is also a god as well as Kratos. And at that point, Atreus becomes a little dick and is just like,
oh yeah,
like,
we're gods. We can do whatever we want.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want. Oh, yeah, these bastards, like, we've already killed them. There's nobody that can stop us now. And whenever he shoots arrows, he's like, whatever. Like, I'm like, God, I can't stand this kid. Like, I just want to be slapped across the face.
He started off as such a nice boy.
Yeah, and then it's like, you're a god? Now he's a dick. So...
The god of dicks.
The god of dicks. That's my brother. He would admit that too. Yeah. So go check out his page, J Rick's art, and you will see why. His artwork has plenty.
It's just like from Superbad.
Yeah, he's got plenty of penis art in there. So yeah, and Ryan dropping my damn minis here in the recording area. That'll just stay there the whole episode, and it's gonna annoy the shit out of me. But yeah, so. That's where I am at with God of War. And then when I am not playing God of War, thank you, Ryan, for picking it up and rolling slowly. I have been messing with... Did you break my... Oh, okay. It's... Oh, you... That's my big guy. Okay, yeah, he's fine. So Ryan dropped my mini of a Narzagon, which has like a Narzagon riding a nightmare. And it's pretty cool for D&D. But... I've been messing with Magic the Gathering cards, as you saw when you walked into my house. He's
got like 30,000 cards out on his table.
Excuse me, but that is 20,000 cards that are sitting there. Actually, more like 22,000.
Close enough.
Yeah. So I've got multiple 5,000 count boxes and multiple piles where I'm sorting by set for my Magic cards, and then popping them into, obviously, respective areas. And then from there... Once that's all done, I'll be whittling down my collection, hopefully, to keep just individual playsets. So I don't need, 30 copies of Llanowar Elves or like 30 copies of some other card. And all the meanwhile, I am going through, and I didn't show you the app, but it's called like MTG Scavenger. And what it does is it pings to like TCG, I think. And it takes, the current market price, and you type in... basically go down by set, and they constantly have it updated, and you can select, say you decide you want to select Innistrad and what's their own, like Ikoria, right? And then you put in sort by commons and uncommons of values $1 or more. And so when you load that, it loads up literally like all of the cards that would be $1 or more that fall under the uncommon and common rarity, essentially. And so when I'm going through these cards, I pop them into my different piles, and I'm like, all right, cool. Like, I'll pick up Innistrad, and then I'll just sort through for all the uncommons and commons that are of value, and then kind of go from there. So yeah, I've been picking out a ton of good crap, dude. Stuff that I didn't realize I had, which is actually kind of fun. As you're going through, like for tribal things, for instance, I picked up numerous elf cards that I didn't realize I had, and they're actually of decent value. They're like, $6 and $7 elf cards. So... It's pretty cool. Nice. But that's what I've been doing. So if I haven't been doing God of War, I've been doing that. I see in our notes, I'm kind of scared to ask you, but you're currently playing.
So I've reached that point in Metroid where I have all the things.
Wait, so this isn't a sign that you have stopped playing it?
And I can go on to fight like the final boss and like finish the game.
So this is where you stop.
Or... I can go run all around the map for like the 4th time to try to pick up any of the little items. I've decided that I'm just going to finish the game. I'm just going to get it over with. It is the weekend before November, and November will be the month of Mario, finishing my New Games resolution for this year. So I'm just going to wrap it up, get it over with. I spent like 13 hours on a game that takes most people like 8 to 11 hours. Because I kept running around the damn map. GMTK just came out with a video recently talking about like how you don't get lost in Metroid, and it made me feel a fool.
You don't get lost in Metroid, Ryan's like, I'll take that challenge.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of YouTube stuff this week, namely Action Buttons Tim Rogers' video on Cyberpunk 2077. This is the ultimate thing for me because I love long form YouTube content. I love listening to somebody just drone on for hours and hours talking about like a game super deep. So what he did is he made a prologue video talking about the review and how he did it. And then he made 7 different reviews from different angles, like all about the graphics, all about the discourse, what I liked, what I didn't like, it in the context of like open world games, and then like a final like chapter 7 that's like an all encompassing like one that kind of taps on a little bit of everything and is kind of the touch point. So he said pick 2 and then go to the end. Don't watch all of it straight through. So I didn't, which means that now I am almost done with my second viewing, watching 2 different middle ones. So I started off with watching 2 and 4, which was the graphics and what I didn't like, and then 7. Then I watched the prologue again. I watched all about the discourse, and then the chapter 6 one, which was kind of all over the place, but interesting still. Mm-hmm. I learned a lot about glasses and jackets, and it's interesting. It's great video. I've been watching it. I'm gonna finish a third watch through so that I will have seen all the middle parts, but it's really cool. Like, I've not seen somebody create like a sort of choose your own adventure video series type thing online like this. It doesn't mean that it doesn't happen. I'm very infrequently picking up new people to watch, so this could be a whole side of YouTube that I don't know about, but to me it seems really creative and interesting and like a whole different dynamic, and I'd like to see more content like that. So I mean, I must reference like a YouTuber like at least every time we have an episode, because I've seen something in the week that's pulled through in the discourse that we're talking about. But that's one thing I would say, like, if you guys are one way or the other on Cyberpunk, like, you might get something out of this. I mean, I haven't even played it, and I've been getting a ton out of it, and I don't even really feel all that like spoiled for like the stuff in the game. I just kind of got to the point where I can watch these types of stuff, and for the most part, like, they're not giving away like plot by plot details, but it's really good. Check it out.
Yeah,
it's like 10 hours of content all said and done.
Yeah, it's quite a bit. No, that's actually sounds pretty good. I don't know if I could sit for 10 hours of content, because that is 10 hours
I mean,
of
I've been spreading this out over the week.
Oh, dude, but that's 10 hours of Magic the Gathering sorting.
Oh, well, you can always... It's a video. You can have it on the background. What are you doing? You just sitting there in silence with your Magic cards?
Oh, yeah. I totally am, dude. It's actually kind of calming.
It's creepy.
It really is creepy. But no, it's actually kind of calming, dude, because you're just looking through and
John's house is super dim, too. So he's like half in the dark, in the quiet, just standing there.
Technically, every single light in the house is off when this is occurring, because I usually do it at night, and I have the one lamp that kind of hangs over my dining room table where all this is taking place. So yeah, I could see how to be really...
You look like a drug dealer counting his money at the end of the day.
Hey, at the end of the day, it is money. So, I mean, I am pulling out those money cards whenever I can, as far as commons and uncommons go. I found a few rares, too, while I was at it. But speaking of choosing your own adventure, you can choose the right social media platform to follow us on. Woo! I say all 3. But Twitter, at Game Deflators, Facebook and Instagram, at The Game Deflators. And, of course, social media, or not social media, that's where you can find us on social media, our website, thegamedeflators.com. And, of course, you can find us on the podcast application you're listening to now, and others like Spotify, Podcast Addict, and Apple Podcasts. And, of course, leave those 5-star reviews. But on to our first article. Sony creates PlayStation PC, strengthening its relationship with PC gaming. And this is Molly Taylor at, lo and behold, PC Gamer. So really,
imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that, right? So really what this is Sony has pretty much branded PlayStation PC for the games that are going to be on PC. They've already seen Horizon. I think God of War is either on or coming. You've got what's his face with Norman Reedus. Death Stranding is on there. Uncharted 4 is either on or coming.
God of War is coming.
Uncharted Legacy. There's a number of games that are being brought over. A lot of people are salivating at the idea of potentially Bloodborne and the mods that can happen with that. That'd be insane. Of course, you've already got Dark Souls and stuff, which is third party, but I'm saying from that franchise perspective. So yeah, it's really interesting. The article itself kind of notates that only 1/3 of PC gamers actually own a PlayStation and play those games. So I can see this going one of two ways, right? Like I see your notes on here, regarding the issue of shortages. But what I really think this is Sony is specifically trying to, and I brought this up a while back, they're trying to target that PC audience to showcase through older titles. This is what you could have if you were gaming on PlayStation all the time. Like, why wait 3-4 years from now to get X game when you can get it exclusively on a PlayStation 5 right here, right now, instead of having to wait for it to be ported to PC? Because guess what? Sony owns it. The other option, of course, could be, as you said on here, shortages and the way to get those games in front of people right away. But then I think that pulls away from the hardware component, which I can't see Sony like putting out its first party titles and just huge AAA games onto PC automatically just to do it. Like, that's going to piss off a lot of existing fans who have consistently gone to Sony for those exclusives. So that's my opinion on it. What is yours? Obviously, I called out some of
didn't
it.
you just explain my opinion?
I did call out some of it.
So, yeah, not necessarily that, like, the PS5 shortage, this is how they're going to combat it by releasing those new titles on PC. That's not what I mean. I just mean that, like, now that the PS5 is out, I was trying to find statistics, and I found, like, a website that had, like, some charts on it that I couldn't read, I guess. But I was trying to find out how many PS4s are still being sold. So anybody who wants to play like the old PS4 classic, like super titles that they're porting over to PC, they've had all the time in the world to buy a PS4. Now that the PS5 is out, it's not like going to be a huge mass of people that are going to be like, okay, now I'm going to buy a PS4. Some people will, but it's a way to at least get those games out to an audience that, you know, if they were going to buy a PS5, they would be able to buy and play these titles with backwards compatibility. It's giving those people an out to be able to still play those titles without having to waste money on a PS4 only to upgrade it to a PS5 later if they haven't already onboarded.
Well, I guess the other side of this, too, is like if I'm a PC gamer and I didn't purchase the PlayStation 4 and I currently have no intentions of purchasing a PS5, I am getting that taste of what PlayStation 4 had to offer. And, you know, with the new God of War coming out in the near future, hopefully next year.
Yeah, nothing sells as a sequel like the last great game that was Game of the Year when it came out.
Exactly. So it's like, okay, cool. Horizon, God of War, we're going to give that to you PC gamers because we really want you to play the next part of that franchise.
Plus,
and it's only on PlayStation 5.
Plus, it's also an avenue that Sony can use to build in advertising for sequels in the future. Like, you know, okay, the next God of War, that's getting hyped up. Let's release the last one on PC. Oh, Bloodborne 2 is going to come out. Let's release Bloodborne on the PC. Like, you can always do that to just shoot the discourse right back up about that game and get new life into it right before you drop your new one and tantalize people in. Other thing...
You saying Bloodborne 2, just... I wish. I really wish, dude. That was such a good game.
Yeah, the other thing that I was thinking about with this is that, like, the PlayStation, like, games that they're bringing over are all of these, like, very character-centric, you know, large, adventurous, like, you know, Horizon, God of War, Ghost of Tsushima, Uncharted. All of those are that same kind of, like, big main campaign. And I am not a PC gamer. I can't think of an exclusive to PC title that carries that type of game. Like, a lot of the stuff that you play on PC is stuff that's just like twitchier and you'd rather play it with more control and a mouse, or it's like more complex and you want like access to a keyboard. You know, this first class AAA action adventure summer blockbuster system seller, like, you need those on PC, and hopefully this will inspire, you know, more things to come out on PC, even as like driving exclusives to like keep Sony on their toes. Like, it's always a good thing to have really good content in other places because it's going to push the content all across the board, hopefully. So, you know, this might give some other studios like okay, this is what people on PC want now. Let's make more of that, and then maybe those can get ported over to console too.
Yeah, no, it's a good point. God, man, I am really hoping that in 2022 I am able to get a new GPU so I can start playing PC games and we can really start doing some reviews on titles that are like exclusive to PC.
I should show you the PC that Tim Rogers Action Button News built for his Cyberpunk 2077
Is it like
review.
Is it like a stupid build?
Dude, he gave himself a budget of $7,777.
What?
Yeah, dude, it's got like 120 gigs of RAM in it.
He put that much money into it?
Yeah, it's nuts.
It's insane.
I'll show you.
Wait, you said 700,000 or 7,000?
7,000.
7,000. I thought
Yeah,
you said
700,000. I think that would be like a NASA computer.
Yeah, I was like, who the hell needs that for Cyberpunk? Like, come on.
You know what? Maybe it would fix all the bugs.
Maybe it would. Yeah, it's true. All right, so the next thing we have here, there was a Warner Bros. Fighting game roster that was leaked recently, revealing Harley Quinn, Shaggy, and more.
I know how this happened.
Huh?
I know exactly how this happened.
What?
Those damn Warner brothers and their Warner sister Dot. They were up in that WB tower and they left that faucet open and they just poured all the leaks out.
That's what it was. Either that or it was Pinky.
Or it was Connor Sheridan at Games Radar.
Nice. So Ryan actually brought this up to me while we were like setting up the GameCube to play some Eternal Darkness. And I was like, I had not heard such a thing today as a Warner Brothers fighting game.
And right off the back of Nicktoons. That was like a week or two ago.
Well, and then so he showed me the roster. Actually, if you want to read the roster, because you probably have it open.
Okay, so we have an all-star lineup of epic proportions that nobody has ever thought. There's some green character we don't know. That's like a main character. Then there's Steven Universe, Batman, Harley Quinn, Jake, and Finn from Adventure Time as separate characters, not as like an Ice Climbers combo. Shaggy, Superman, Wonder Woman, Gandalf, Rick Sanchez, Bugs Bunny, and then Tom and Jerry as like a one character. This is like the most bizarre, cool, weird thing, and there's been speculation about it. That it might just be like some mobile game, or it might not be that in depth. But this is what I'm thinking. We're right off the back, like I said, of the Nick fighting game. This is coming out. Smash is done. Like, poor Sakurai, like, let the man sleep for a while. There's not going to be a new Smash anytime soon. So right now is the perfect time for these other companies to try to put a Smash out there, see what kind of traction they can get, and then refine and develop that and try to release their Melee aspirational title before the next Smash. Like, if they can do a good test run, get some quality feedback, and fill that void while it exists, a tier 2, second project that's successful could lead to a tier 3 rival to whatever the next Smash might be. And like, I hope they don't make another Smash for like 8 years.
It'll probably be more like 3, but yeah, I mean, to be honest, when I saw that character list, I'm still questioning it. How in the world does Bugs Bunny beat Superman or Wonder Woman?
Because he can't die.
Look, I understand, where you said Tom and Jerry, that they're immortal.
Tom and Jerry are literally immortal. You can run them over with like a steamroller and they'd be fine.
I'm trying to think of some other characters. Is Woody Woodpecker?
No.
No. What about Popeye's not, right?
No.
That's not Warner.
Well, no, Popeye might be Warner Bros.
He might be.
I don't know. There's lots of stuff that they could do.
I'm just thinking like of, what is it, Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote? Because I think they are.
Well, WB, don't they own NeverRealm and
Mortal
Kombat?
Oh my God. Scorpion enters the battle. Right? Oh my God. Can you imagine like a mature rated game where Bugs Bunny is just getting like his heart ripped out by Scorpion?
Right.
Oh, dude, that'd be brutal.
I mean, they've got Batman and Superman and Wonder Woman in here, so I don't know if they're going to throw all the superheroes in there. I mean, there's tons of other cartoons.
I mean, they really shouldn't, because you have Injustice. Like, why would
Yeah.
you don't really need to throw them in there. In fact, I don't even know why they're in there. I guess it's more so because of the bigger name. In a
Well,
sense,
I mean, it's
maybe.
like, why are there like 19 Fire Emblem characters in Smash?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you might as well just do Fire Emblem Melee. That's pretty much it. Like that's what the next game should just
Or
be.
like a Fire Emblem X Marvel or something.
Yeah, something along those lines.
They could be their own roster, all the Fire Emblem, and then you could pit them against like Street Fighter and Tekken and whatever.
Screw this, Mario. We'll create our own fighting game. And they pretty much could.
Yeah, so there's lots of interesting stuff that could come from this. Who knows when we'll see it or what iteration it'll look like in the end. But I mean, honestly, with as popular as some of these IPs are that are just on this little first reveal list, I mean, that's enough to draw all kinds of different people in.
Yeah.
You know, and who knows what you could do with like downloadable characters and stuff, because Warner Bros. Is like an ever expanding IP. Like anything that they're going to make a movie on, they could just like throw a clause in that we want rights to this character for our game. And that's like a huge get. Like you think about how much out of the box thinking you had to do with Smash to get like Sora and Final Fantasy VII characters and like Street Fighter characters, you know, like that's a lot of like dealing between different entities and putting them in something that was traditionally a showcase of Nintendo IP
By the way,
make it work.
Not just any Street Fighter character, but Ryu, who we
Yes.
interviewed. So go check out that episode. I think it's episode 153 of Kyle
Good
A.
one.
Bear. Yeah.
But you could just add anything to here. Like Goku could have a shot. I don't know if WB like produced Dragon Ball Evolution.
I don't know.
It could have been possible.
But I would love to see Master Roshi.
There we go.
That's what I want. Master Roshi in there with Rick Sanchez teaming up.
Here we go.
Yeah.
Dirty old man.
That would be the perfect dynamic duo. But yeah, I think this is pretty cool. We'll have to see, like you said, what iteration it is. Is it mobile? Is it, PC only? Are we looking at console release? Like, what do we got here? I think it'll be interesting on a console or PC basis. If it's a mobile game, I'm probably not going to show any interest whatsoever. But that all said, let's move into our next piece here, Ryan. And this is Apple saying that it competes with the PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo in a sign of gaming importance. And this is Kif Leeswing of CNBC. And so this one in particular, a while back, Apple was saying, oh, yeah, we don't really compete against, like, our main competitor is Google or something like that, which coincidentally Google actually has an agreement with Apple for like their search engine. So that way, I think Google pays them like $8 or $12 million a year for this agreement.
Default.
Yeah, to be the default search engine within iPhones.
Or what, Bing? Or Yahoo? Like, what would you do? Like, if they didn't have that deal, like, I don't think Apple has its own proprietary search engine.
Well, I mean, they have Safari, so
That's like
but
that's
I
an
don't know,
internet
yeah.
application.
Yeah, exactly. I don't know if there's anything tied to
Like,
it
they
specifically.
literally couldn't have Bing.
Yeah. Well, and here's the thing: even if like Google's kind of dumb, why are you going to pay Apple $8 to $12 million a year? Because everybody's
Everybody's
using
going
Bing,
to use Google anyways.
right? Like you don't have to be the
It's
default.
just market share. They just don't want you. They don't want the people who won't switch from default to have to make that choice to switch from default.
Yeah, no, it makes sense. I get it. And like, you don't want Microsoft swooping in and putting Bing on iPhones given the consumer base. I totally get it. But, if Bing was my default if I were to get an iPhone, which I never will ever again, guess what I would be doing? I would be installing Google as my default.
I don't know, man.
Come
You
on.
can't talk to me about this stuff. I bought a Zune.
You bought a oh.
I tried Bing for a while. I used to use Google Waze.
Oh.
Like that underground tech, man.
Oh man.
So here, let me just point out here that I didn't know that like corporations had to declare like their competitors.
Well,
I didn't know that was like a thing, because this was like an update from the Apple Epic lawsuit, wherein like they make so much money from that the judge basically said you guys have to like change the way that you talk about how you represent like yourself in the industry, because you are like a player here and you have to like declare that, I guess.
Yeah, and that's what I was kind of thinking when I was reading through this is Apple, they said, made $64 billion off of their app store, and like 70%
Off
of
of
that,
other people's work.
yeah, and then 70% of that was actually mobile gaming.
Do they even need to make iPhones? Like, I guess you need a place for people to buy those apps on.
Yeah, I guess.
But, like, what's even the point?
Well, point is status symbol, I guess. I don't know. Like, I get it,
But this is exactly my point. So, Apple iPhone is like a status symbol. I wrote all this down. I was very proud of this. So, like, they don't compete with Nintendo and Microsoft and Sony on like a hardware level. Like, lots of people mobile games are actually like the most popular games in the world. They've got more downloads and players than any console game, like except for maybe Grand Theft Auto.
Well, yeah, because the install base is so much higher.
But so like what people want from like a console game is not the same experience.
Yeah.
Now, there are gaming phones, and Apple directly competes with those, but like the apps and stuff, like those are pretty across the board. Like, people don't buy an iPhone to game on. People buy a Switch to game on, and even though like that is a much closer comparison for hardware competition between those two platforms, but people go to Nintendo for the games. Nobody buys an iPhone for Apple Arcade.
Well, I mean, they might, but that wouldn't be the right move.
But it's like, that's the thing, like, they make money off of other people making games and hosting them on their platforms. All the other people that are in the industry that are actually competing are making games. They're making, first party games as premier runners on the hardware. Like, Apple might like publish some stuff, but like they're not like a first party studio. They're not really doing that type of thing. So it's like, I get if legally they have to be called like a competitor because of all the money that they make and their market share, but like, honestly, it's kind of insulting to like give them that much credit when they just get money from other people doing stuff.
I mean, true, but if you kind of look at, like, say, for example, if Sony didn't have any first-party studios and they were the vessel for that gaming that was occurring on the for that console, right? Like, hey, publish all your games, put it on our console, we'll put it out into the market, and then that's going to be a PlayStation. I mean, I can kind of see in a sense where Apple does need to be considered a gaming competitor, because there are people that are making games that are either like exclusively Apple. There's games that are only mobile. So, in those instances, that is a vessel for that gaming, which I think would dictate that they are part of that gaming competition and ecosystem. That's really where I would see that. But I do agree with you at the same time, though. This is probably more for legal purposes. They were at one point, they were trying to consider Apple a monopoly because of the whole Epic Games issue. It was deemed that they weren't actually a monopoly when all was said and done. But I think this is, just a way to kind of get around that, make sure that they, go through all the hoops and everything that they need to ensure that they don't have another like Epic situation happen again. So, but let us know your thoughts on this. Do you think Apple is a gaming competitor to that of PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo? I kind of think they are at the end of the day. But let us know in the comments. All right, Ryan. Our last one here before we get into some Eternal Darkness. The next Switch Online console has been potentially leaked, and it is Tyler Fisher at comicbook.com, where we read this one. So this one's a little wonky, so it kind of gets into like back-end code and stuff that is within, Nintendo's coding. And we've had this in the past where like different things have been leaked because of things that have been seen on the back end. This actually is one of the reasons that like the 4K Nintendo Switch had even come about in like rumors I guess like last year, and that something was found in the coding that could indicate that, hey, there's going to be, an upcoming Switch based on X reasons, right?
Yeah.
And so this, if you look at the coding, they showed there's various numbers like 1 through 5 or something, and when you look at the code, you can tell that like 2 on the back end is SNES, and like 3 is specifically like N64, and then there's one for like NES or whatever. But there's a 4 is missing, in there. So people are speculating the next one is going to be Game Boy or GameCube is another option that could potentially be. There's also...
Man, if they can't get N64 running on there, how are they going to get GameCube?
Yeah, that's true. The other thing on the back end, too, is when you look at the titles on each of those, they actually have like a sequence on various numbers, like 1 through whatever, like 90 or something like that, for like N64. And you can actually guess the games that are going to be coming out over time based on that sequence of numbers and like what Nintendo should be releasing.
It's cool because it's like alphabetical and then numeric. You could tell how many slots there's going to be. So we've got an idea of like where they're expecting to cap out their releases, at least for the foreseeable future. And you can like go in and like all the games that would be worthwhile to release that people would want to play, people have already gone in and kind of refined these lists pretty far down. Like me and John were looking earlier and I was like, how many N64 games are there? Like 100 or so? There's like 393, which is a lot. And then I was like, okay, what about PS1? Higher or lower? Higher. Like 7,000.
Is that just North American releases or is that
everything?
No,
I think it's like everything. But I've always heard that like N64 had like a pretty small library. Like that's why when you're like, oh, what's like an RPG? I don't know, Quest 64, and that's terrible.
Yeah, there's not many. But yeah, so I guess let's talk about kind of what we would anticipate to be that next, console. They mentioned
definitely Game Boy.
Huh?
Definitely Game Boy.
I think GameCube, to be honest. I think GameCube has... And the reason I'm thinking GameCube, too, is while I was reading the wiki for Eternal Darkness, kind of get a little more of that backstory, Nintendo actually, July 31st of this year, just went ahead and redid their... what do you call it? Trademark of the game. So Eternal Darkness, it actually had there was a period of time where it ceased to exist as a trademark for so it was no longer a trademark of Nintendo, and Nintendo just redid that trademark. So
we should have bought it.
We should have bought it. Can you imagine if we bought the trademark of Eternal Darkness?
We own Eternal Darkness.
Yeah,
contact the Game Deflators.
I wish in the year 2092, but that's kind of where I see it going. I think there's a lot more hype that could come from that. Like, can you just imagine, like, on a digital basis, Melee, Super Smash Bros. Melee on there?
Dude, you could play Ultimate.
I know you can play Ultimate, but there are people that love the GameCube version. They're still flipping tournaments specifically for the GameCube version of a game.
Yeah, but, like, I mean, like, the way that they came down and, like, crushed those tournaments for adding, like, online.
Yeah, I get it.
Like, but I guess it would solve that problem. Like it would do a lot for the Melee community to just have like a sanctioned way to play so that Nintendo would stop fucking with them.
And it's all there. I mean, you can play with GameCube controllers via Switch using, the adapter.
Yeah.
You would have access to it. There's family accounts now that you can do. So like you can theoretically have a group of friends who have a family account for Switch.
Dude, everything's asking me about family accounts now. YouTube's like, hey, you want a family? No, I don't want a family account.
You're like, I don't even want a family.
I want to be alone with my YouTube. Leave me alone.
No family on my YouTube. But yeah, I can see GameCube being the next one. Eternal Darkness in there would be pretty cool, man. To potentially, I don't think they're going to upgrade the graphics, but they could take an approach of that nature.
Okay, so if they make GameCube, do they release the GameCube version of Resident Evil 4 again?
That would be funny. It's sad as people would actually buy it if it was a purchase aspect. Who knows? Ryan would replay it though. Like I played it on GameCube.
I really want to play the RE4 VR.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I don't want to get an Oculus Quest 2 because I just saw like a thing about like an Oculus Quest Pro already in the rumors.
PSVR 2. Just wait for that. It'll come out on that too, most likely.
Yeah, but dude, that's like a whole PS5 purchase away from here.
Save your money. So let us know what you think the next console will be. But dude, like I said, when it comes down to Game Boy or GameCube, I think GameCube has a lot more hype. I think it's a little more revered with the Nintendo fan base.
GBA would be the best.
GBA would be cool.
But I don't think that they're going to do GBA.
Maybe GBA and a virtual adapter that you can plug into your virtual GameCube.
Right. They make the GBA and like e-reader is one of them.
New e-reader cards. That'd be pretty badass, actually.
All right. So, On to this week's Inflation Deflation Challenge. We played Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem for the GameCube. This is developed by Silicone Knights, not Silicone Knots, as I wrote.
Damn it, I was hoping that... See, I would have read that as Silicone Knots, and I would have been pissed.
Publisher, Nintendo. Designers, Brad Firminger and Ted Traver. Released back in June 24th, 2002. It's an action-adventure psychological horror. It's got 9s across the board. This is a top-tier title.
132 out of 40.
Yeah, people love this game. I'd never played this game before today, but I've always heard amazing things about it. I've always heard cool things about, like, people love to talk about the sanity meter. I didn't really know anything about, like, the story or what was going on until I watched, I think Pro Jared was doing, like, a playthrough a year ago or so, and I watched a little bit of that. But basically you're...
Alexandra Roivas.
Yes, and you come to find that your grandfather has been, like, murdered, and you don't know why, and the cops are dumb, so you're going to figure it out. So you go exploring around his spooky big mansion, and you find this spooky book, and you read all about these, like, past either lives that you iterated in, or ancestors, or just other people. I don't know exactly what the connection is with them, but
not at this point. Yeah.
You play through their stories. Like, the first one, you're like an ancient Roman centurion, like, going through a crypt.
Yeah.
And then in the second one, you're some girl in some jungle temple, and you run into that guy there in this, like, deep room with this big monster with all these eyes and stuff. It's a pretty standard, like, you know, action adventure.
Well, it's a psychological horror.
Yeah, you got a sword, you're fighting zombies. Not super involved combat. You don't have, like, combos or anything. You do get some spells later on, and at certain points you get, like, different weapons, but there's, like, traps and puzzles to figure out. It's got a great eerie tone to it. All the sound design is really cool.
I really love the aspects of the, where the volume just kind of lowers on screen, all these different voices are speaking. That's pretty cool. Like, I forgot that you had told me, like, hey, this is in this game, like, the volume lowers and stuff automatically. Yeah. And I was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And as it was happening, I saw the meter. I'm like, what the hell's going on?
It pops up like an old CRT, like, volume down. It looks out of place now because that's not what volume.
Yeah.
Like, it's so crazy the things that visually change in, like, design language. Like, nobody would ever put, like, a big neon green bar counter for volume on a TV anymore.
I know, when that was going on, I was so confused, dude. I'm like, that's not the volume, but okay. And yeah, then I realized what was happening. So that was interesting.
It's cool. And they got a lot out of that meter. Like, once we were, like, all our sanity was gone, and, like, the room's, like, rocking like you're on a boat, and it's got all this creepy noise, and it was like, it really pulled me in. Like, I wasn't even playing at the time, I don't think. I think you were playing at the time, but I was like totally invested in the experience of it. It does a lot visually to add to it. It's got all these great bizarre angles and, like, you know, stuff that you're seeing from the, like, cinematography. That's what I'm looking for. The cinematography of it is really, like, next level compared to, you know, you'd had, like, Resident Evil and stuff by now, and this definitely adapted those fixed angle camera perspectives and did them in very interesting ways. I had quite a fun time with this game. It's not a super long game.
Yeah, it's only about 12 to 13 hours. We finished like 2 or 3 chapters, I think, while playing. And, you know, while the controls are a little bit sluggish for this game in particular, it does play very much like a Silent Hill title. And, you know, for those that played Silent Hill, you understand the third-person view perspective and, you know, how it can kind of be sluggish when attacking enemies and whatnot. But you do have your puzzle elements that you have to take advantage of and try to solve for, you know, in this instance, the manner that you're in. There's some really weird puzzles. Like, there was one that said to find, like, the secret door, you had to put a grandfather clock at exactly 3:33 p.m.
This was like the first puzzle that we did, and oftentimes when we're playing the games, like, we don't know anything about them, and we don't have all day. So we've started getting into the habit of being like, let's just look it up instead of wasting our whole time on this first level. It didn't even say in the guide how to find the information to know that you have to set the grandfather clock to that time. Like, we weren't paying the most attention during the opening's cutscene, so maybe the cop was just like, I don't know, try the grandfather clock in the back. It might be 3:33 or something. Who knows?
Yeah, I think at some point, somebody probably said, yeah, he died at like 3:33 p.m. or some shit like that. But, at the end of the day, that is a very weird puzzle. There were several others that we had seen that, like, there were some mirrors for a giant telescope that you're supposed to be turning, and
I think that's just something we didn't have the info for yet.
Exactly. And that might be the same with the grandfather clock. I mean, maybe just we missed a clue or something.
But that was like the very first thing we did.
I know. That's what was crazy about it. Well, no, there was another one too. Like, we were supposed to find a key and then go to a door. Oh,
you did find a key.
I found a key, but there's supposed to be another key that's supposed to break. And I didn't find that one. So I guess there's things you can miss that aren't super critical to the game. But that was a critical component of the game. So that's why I found it odd that, like, exactly 3:33 p.m. Like, I can understand, I guess, because it's half of 666. Maybe that's why.
There's not 66 minutes.
Actually, is it 3:33 to witching hour? Or is it 2 a.m.? I forgot.
I don't know, man. I know that you could fight dragons best just at dusk, though. Because for some reason they can't see good then.
Yeah. Let me just look this up. What is the witching hour? 3 a.m. to 4 a.m.
Riveting.
Yeah, riveting stuff, right? So yeah, maybe it's tied into that in some capacity. But you did mention the Tome of Eternal Darkness, and you mentioned it's this great big grand book. The one thing to consider is it's just like the the Necronomicon or Demonomicon. Where it's actually human flesh that creates this book. So you just kind of walk up in this room and you're like, oh, look, this glowing book that's kind of random and created with human flesh. Let me open it and see what happens. And that's where you kind of get these chapters in the book. And like Ryan said, going into these different eras. We obviously think it's super deep, but the weaponry in this game is actually fairly interesting. So depending on the era in which you are playing these characters, depends on the type of weaponry you're using, so which is kind of obvious, but it's interesting to flip through it, right? So you might be playing one character where it's a short sword, one character you might be using a crossbow, and then all of a sudden you're using a shotgun with another character down the road. So having to kind of go in between that can be difficult. So the game actually does a very good job from a control standpoint of allowing you to target specific areas of a body. So no matter what, when you get to that point where you have to flip quickly from, oh, I was just using a sword to now I'm using a gun, you can very quickly adapt on, all right, cool, as long as I'm holding down that R2 button and then hit my power, my shot or whatever it is, my attack button, I'm going to be able to hit the enemy.
It's just a matter of range.
Yeah, so I think it's a pretty cool concept overall. I did like the meters as well. I did think it was interesting that as you lose blood, your character slows down to like almost a limp. So if you don't have any healing, you're pretty screwed.
Yeah, there's definitely like a cool devolvement of your character visually with their health.
Yeah.
Which not all games do. I mean, they still keep the HUD of like the life meter on there, so it's not like you're going purely off of just the way you look. Also, the most demonic healing spell I've ever seen in a game. Like, seriously, Satan is healing you.
Well, I mean, it's pretty much blood if you think about it. Like, it's a blood spell or blood ritual that's being cast. But to kind of dig into like the history of this game in a sense too, because we did mention like the patent or trademark that was refiled on this, but the game itself critically did not do very well. It sold under 500,000 copies worldwide. And 15 years ago, some of the information that was on here, but they said Japan had sold under 20,000 copies of their game, or of their copies. So it's not exactly the most common of games to find out there. Because of its lack of success, a sequel was actually scrapped, and the studio intended to make a like spiritual successor because Nintendo owned a trademark for this particular game. They wanted to do a spiritual successor, had several Kickstarters that just ended up failing. And
which is weird. Like, as much as I've heard good things about this game forever, I can't believe like so many things get like the Kickstarter bump. I can't believe that this didn't. Like Shenmue? Like, this was at least as big as Shenmue, I thought.
Well, yes, but at the same time, like, Dreamcast is a whole different animal, I feel. Shenmue was, like, the big thing on Dreamcast. Like, it was ahead of its time, and there was a lot of praise for that game when it came out, and Shenmue 2 was, while not as successful, I guess, and neither really was Shenmue, because Dreamcast wasn't successful, but I think there was a little more, I guess, a lot more rabid fans specifically for that game, right? Whereas this particular game was supposed to be like a launch title on GameCube. It got delayed numerous times. It finally got released. It wasn't a huge success. It's a mature rated game, I believe. I think it's mature rated on the GameCube. Not some, like, it's just not one of those titles that people get excited about.
It's not for everyone.
Well, neither was Shenmue, but like people just don't get excited for Eternal Darkness. Like if you look at and one that actually surprises me, I got that Kickstarter bump, was Eiyuden Chronicles, the spiritual successor to the Suikoden series. So that, I'm surprised, got such a huge Kickstarter bump. So like when games like that are able to get the bump, but something like this doesn't, there has to be a reason why. And I think that's more of that. This had probably more of a cult following and wasn't as popular as some of those other games. And that would explain it. But yeah, they were trying to do like 12 4-hour, mini games or something like that, or mini parts to it. At the end of the day, I think as well with Kickstarter is either maybe it wasn't as popular at that point in time when they were trying to do it, and now they're out of business. And the other part just could be that people just didn't have trust in that studio to pull it off.
Yeah.
To say, hey, we can back it, but at the end of the day, what happens when the studio goes bankrupt, right? You're out your money that you put in for this game, which is one of the reasons I'm not a huge fan of using Kickstarter, unless I trust the company that's putting on the product or game. But brass tacks, sir.
Brass tacks. Complete in box is going to be $71.71. Wait, hold on.
Yeah, the peak, you have it wrong here, but it was like $90+, I think you said, in June of 2021.
Oh, I have these reversed. Okay, so its peak was $111.23 in April of 2021, and that has dropped sharply down. So, somebody way overpaid, but in general, I mean, it is down. Loose, you're looking at $64.53. That peaked at $70.35 back in June 2021. And that is also going down. So, I mean, I don't know if we're on the other side of the bubble or what, but I mean, there's not a ton of copies of this game. I mean, game prices are going to go up over time. Maybe now's not the bad time to pick it up. This is definitely one that's worth having.
Maybe it's one of those things that, kind of like we were just saying with the Kickstarter, it's not a super popular game. Not a lot of people played it. Not a lot of people know about it. It's not very common. And it's just one of those titles that, it shot up because you have those people like, oh, yeah, I played that game. I really want to buy it again. So it skyrocketed for a short period of time. But maybe a bulk of the people that actually wanted this game, either are A, collectors like myself and already owned it, or B, wanted to play it again at some point in time, and they've already picked up their copies. Or they just have no interest in paying an exorbitant amount of money for it now.
Yeah.
But I think you're going to see the games like, like the Mario games and such are going to stay up in value. Zelda and such, I think, will stay up in value for a bit because those have a greater following, despite the fact that they've sold a crap ton more copies than this. Looking at the information we have here, given where GameCube games are at their ridiculous rates, complete in box at $71, realistically,
it's not too bad.
Yeah, it's not bad when you really start comparing it to a lot of the GameCube games out there, and that's what, $20 higher than what it released for back when the GameCube came out. So, I mean, when we really start talking about uncommon games that are in the market, for all consoles in general, this is one that when you read the price to me as like $71, I was shocked that it wasn't higher at this point in time.
And one thing I've definitely learned this month, and, we don't always have these great takeaways, horror games can be expensive. Like, horror games are not the most sold. They're not the most, available. They tend to hold up fairly well over time. They do different things than a lot of mainstream games. of all the horror stuff that we've played, not just this month, but like overall, I've enjoyed, I would say, a larger portion of those games compared to just our general picking of games. So I think that, investing your money in collecting, uncommon horror games, it tends to pay off over time. So I would definitely say that, this is probably just right where it's at. And keep your eye out for, whatever could be the next big horror game, because you could probably get it for a really good deal when it comes out, and then just watch it grow over time.
I'm going to be shocking to you here. I'm going to say that this price is deflated. So I think...
Be still my heart.
So where the current GameCube market is at, and the quality of this game...
John goes to a Goodwill. No, man, I'll give you 50 for it.
No, I picked this game up for like $15 years ago.
Yeah, but you wanted to pay more.
Yeah, sure.
He just wouldn't take it. He was like, no, I won't take the extra money.
I won't take the extra money now. No, this particular game, given it's not a bad game. It's 9s across the board for the most part, 9+ across the board. And it's in a crazy GameCube market where just everything is expensive, and this is only $70 right now. I say it's deflated. I think it probably should be more in today's market.
You think it should be up at that 111?
I mean, I'm not saying it should be from like,
it could be.
It could be. And that's where I think that right now this game is deflated. It's a great game. There's a lot of praise for this game over the years. People have wanted a sequel, but it's not super popular. I think it's $70. You'd be getting a steal right now for this game. I think it's totally worth it.
There you go. What's spookier than that?
What's spookier than that? Yeah, right. Trick or treat, Ryan? Was this a trick or treat?
Definitely a treat.
Definitely a treat. Cool.
But it's full of tricks.
That is true. That is true. All right, well, let's put in our rating here. I guess we can put in I don't know. You can put in just right for this one if you want. All right. Well, we start, when you hear this, it'll be November 1st. So spooky month will have been over, but this will have
Thankful
been
month.
Thankful. What the hell are we going to play? I think last
I'm going to be thankful for Mario.
And
John's going to be thankful I finally doing my thing.
I really am. I think we played Wampum last year during Thanksgiving.
Oh, no.
So I don't
That was 2 years ago.
Or 2 years ago, sorry. Yeah, that was a good game, though. We'll have to find some...
That was a hard game. I did not do well on that one.
I did great.
You did.
I think we need to find some like Thanksgiving element games. So I don't know what I have that involves turkeys or anything like that.
There's got to be like 100 shoot the turkey games on Wii.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe we don't do a Thanksgiving month because
no,
we don't. We're a global podcast.
Yeah,
so we do have plenty of people in the UK that may not appreciate.
I think we got plenty of people right here who don't appreciate it either.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
I'm in for the food.
I'm in for the food. Yes, and yeah, but our friends in the UK might be like those damn traitors. Yeah. Don't want to listen to them anymore with their Thanksgiving games. Yeah, we'll figure something out, but maybe we'll play one of the NES mini games.
We'll figure it out.
NES games, yeah. All right, well, this has been episode 155 of the Game Deflators Podcast. My name's John.
I'm Ryan.
And thanks for listening.